Welcome, my name is Clayton. I am one of the tutors at the Natural Sciences Tutoring Center at SCC. Today we will be talking about Mendelian genetics and specifically Mendel's Principle of Segregation. Mendel proposed that the alleles of any given gene must separate from each other when gametes are formed. At this time, meiosis had not yet been discovered, but we can see that this principle in some ways set the foundation for its discovery. The prevailing idea at the time was that inherited genetic material was fluid in nature. Therefore, any offspring would have a combination of the genetic material of the mother and father. This suggests further that the original trait from either the mother or the father couldn't be recovered. As an example, let's say that big R is blue and little r is yellow. And then we'll just call blue dominant and yellow is recessive. According to the common understanding at the time, this is again before Mendel started running all of his experiments, if big R were crossed with little r, so that's homozygous for blue with homozygous recessive, yellow, then the offspring would be expected to be green, according to these people. If the fluid was combined, then you would get some combination of green. Mendel showed, however, that the offspring were not green, and even more alarmingly, they were all blue, the dominant phenotype. Mendel believed that inherited genetic material was particulate in nature, not fluid. He suggested that a particle containing genetic information was passed from each parent to their offspring. This is what we call an allele. He further hypothesized that this allele was kept intact within the offspring and could be passed on to future generations. For example, if the parent has a genotype big R, little r, it would be blue, and its alleles, the big R and the little r, would separate into different gametes. When one of these gametes meets a gamete from another heterozygous parent, the offspring would have a genotype represented by the combination of the alleles from each gamete. Here we use a Punnett square to show that. We would expect about a 3-to-1 phenotypic ratio of offspring. Because, as proposed by Mendel, each allele was particulate in nature and intact within the offspring, it is possible for a yellow offspring to exist, to be produced. If the fluid idea were correct, and the genetic material were mixed together within the offspring, then it would not be possible for a yellow offspring to be born from blue parents. So here we're getting a picture that maybe Mendel is onto something here. How is it possible that a yellow offspring exists if it came from two blue parents? According to, again, the prevailing theory at the time, that would not be possible. According to the principle of segregation, as the gametes are separated and recombined between the parents, we should definitely expect a 3-to-1 phenotypic ratio of our offspring. In this case, we should have 3 blue and 1 yellow. It is not guaranteed, however, that we will get a perfect 3-to-1 ratio. It is only probable that this will occur. Ultimately, the combination of gametes among the parents is a stochastic event, meaning there is some randomness to it. There's no guarantee that this specific gamete will certainly pair with this one at any given time. When Mendel ran all of his experiments with his thousands of plants, he did not get a perfect 3-to-1 ratio, but it was pretty close. Just like flipping a coin 100 times did not guarantee a perfect 1-to-1 ratio with 50 heads and 50 tails, the pairing of gametes has a probable outcome, but this element of randomness means that it is not guaranteed. In summary, Mendel's principle of segregation suggests that inherited genetic material is particulate in nature and kept intact within offspring generations, not combined. Furthermore, these alleles can be passed on to future generations. This principle supported Mendel's initial hypothesis that hereditary material is not blended when creating progeny, but rather it is maintained between generations as distinct alleles. Each allele is separated into a gamete, which, when combined with the gamete from the other parent, forms offspring with an allele from each parent. We now know that the process of meiosis separates the genetic material into haploid gametes, each with a single allele from each gene. When these gametes meet those of the other parent, they form a diploid zygote and eventual offspring. Okay, that about wraps it up for Mendel's Principle of Segregation. Once again, my name is Clayton. I'm one of the tutors in the Natural Sciences Tutoring Center at Scottsdale Community College. Feel free to drop by our tutoring center either online or in person, depending on what we have available when you're watching this, for some free assistance with the content in any of your science courses. We would love to help you. I will link our website down below. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you later.